Hunter x Hunter Season 5 Part 2. Let's finish this bad boy. Oh, okay. We're dragging this out, but it's cool. Alright, little board game. Oh, here we go. Netero coming in hot. Let's do this. This is really dragging. Alright, here we go. Pito versus Gon. Been waiting 15 episodes for this moment. Let's do this. Neat fight, but it's a squash match. So many emotions, so much. Why did it drag out so long? For all that, it led to that. Nice ending though. Nice ending. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. And what is Movie Breakdowns? Movie review series. We look at new and old movies, give them a grade, A through F, plus and minus to count. And there's a movie you want me to watch, a movie series you want me to watch, let me know. Please put in the comment section below. And also, I have a Patreon, Patreon/Ali Zakka. And on this Patreon, you get reviews before everybody else. You cut in line, you're paying $2 a month. Whatever review you want me to do, I do it immediately because you're asking for it. You're paying for my services, I get to it. I also have a $7 tier where you get trade reaction, trade reviews, much more detailed behind the scene content, stuff like that. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's episode of Movie Breakdown series review of Hunter x Hunter Season 5 Part 2. And Part 2, I have a lot of mixed emotions and mixed feelings about. A lot. Like, I left off with Part 1 where we ended at Morel and the royal guards taking over the palace. Well, now we're at the stage where we're infiltrating the palace, and as we're infiltrating the palace, the Extinction Squad or Termination Squad, they are getting together, getting the plan together. So Killa, Gon, Morel, Knuckles, a few other people, Netero, the head of the Hunter Association, and then you got two new Chimera ants, Chameleon and an Octopus, who also join in with Gon and Killa. So you get like a squad here going, each for their own reasons, some for revenge, some for friendship. While the good guys are getting everything together, you have Morel, who's sitting there waiting for this festival day, it's the day where they will bring millions of people to come in to turn them to ants, to make them ant soldiers, so Morel can take over the world, his ant army to take over the world and get it bigger. Well, while he's waiting for this to happen, he is bored and he wants to learn, and he's playing board games and he wants to test himself. So Poof, UB, and Petro, oh, I forgot her name. Nephi Pito, the cat, who, by the way, the last episode I didn't know, I thought she was a guy, but then I looked it up, her gender is actually not specified, so they actually should never reference Nephi Pito as a guy or a girl. It's a cat. I'm just going to call her Nephi Pito. I might say her, just throw that out there, because there's no indication where, matter of fact, all of them, there's no indication of whether they're guys or girls. So I'm just gonna go for what this anime kind of made her into a female cat character. So Nephi Pito, Yuppie, and Poof are kind of like getting everybody together, and while Morel was waiting for the festival to start, he has Poof bringing people to challenge him in board games. And if somebody beats Morel but doesn't return, Morel kills him. Or if he beats them, he kills them, gets away with them. Introduce a girl named Kamagi. Kamagi, she is this world-renowned champion in a game called Gongi. Let me look that up, matter of fact. Let me get this on point. Found it. The game is pronounced Gungi, and Morel cannot beat Kamagi. He is trying his hardest, and for every loss, he's getting more admiration, and he finds himself becoming more and more attached to this human girl that he's like, no, ants are supposed to conquer the world, but yet this person here, I'm getting this kind of admiration. So he's getting this feeling, and pretty much Kamagi, whether she knows it or not, is shaping the way Morel looks at the world. He's no longer looking at it as a killer conqueror versus a more benevolent king. Somebody who's like, not all humans are bad, not all ants are bad. Maybe there's a way we can coexist. Like, he's leading down that path. And Poof, Pito, and Yuppie, they're not following the same line as the king, which is Morel. They're like, dude, what are you talking about? We are here to, conquer all. This is our mission. This is what the queen wanted from us. And you're talking about maybe humans aren't bad? And it's become more evident in Poof's reaction to Kamagi as as the season progresses. He becomes more and more resentful of the girl. He actually wants to get rid of her. He feels like she is throwing a clog into the wheel of their plan. And he's like, we got to get rid of her. Because once we get rid of her, the king will be his rightful, threatful ruler and destroy everything. Versus being this guy who's like, I'm not sure if I want to do what everybody else is trying to do and try to conquer the world. I think I'm being okay with playing this board game and really making this connection with this person who's challenging me and making me feel better. And his human side is kicking in. So a twist that Togashi threw into Hunter x Hunter this season is that the ants have their human side pop up. And you see this more of a coat in the first half of the season where he's doing things and he's kind of getting like these flashbacks to his past self. Well, in this second half of the season, it's really more evident that the ants do have a human side, and the human side of who they used to be, their past lives, are coming over and taking over and becoming more and more evident in themselves and more evident in what they do. So, they might look like ants, or they are ants, their past selves are kicking in, and Morel is no different. He is pretty much, because he's like the ultimate being for the ants, he is purely the mindset of humans and his humanity side. Humanity? Don't know the word I want to use. Humanity? His humanity side is kicking in throughout this season. And that's some of the neat stuff about that. Like, Kamagi's and Morel's bond and relationship is a pretty neat thing in this series, in this season. The thing is, when I left off on episode 100 and then picked up on 101 to end on 136, I felt like there's a lot of filler, a lot of dragged out stuff. Very, very much dragged out stuff. Like, what I talked about Morel and Kamagi's relationship and their bond happens probably episode 101 to 110, and it progresses throughout. But when Gon and the squad invades the palace, Kamagi gets shot and is injured, and Morel flies off with the king, or Morel flies off with the head of the Hunter Association, Isaac Netero, and they're gone for like 10 episodes from what it feels like. And most of the fighting in this season, second half, is between Yuppie, Shoot, Knuckles, and you can throw in Morel, you can throw in Killua, but the fighting, it lasts for so much of it, and it's not really like focused and centered. It's like you'll get a clip of Knuckles versus of Yuppie, then it jumps to Morel versus Poof, which that's just a standoff. Nothing happens there. And then you jump over to what we believe is going to be Netero and Grandpa Zodiac versus King Meryl, and it's not. It's Netero and Killua's grandpa facing off with Meryl, who's tending to Kamagi, who's been shot through Killua's grandpa's dragon attack from the sky. And you're like, okay, well, this is an unexpected turn here. Everybody's thrown off. And then Killua's grandpa's like, you know what? I'm out. I'm not about this. I know you had one mission, but I ended up hurting somebody who wasn't going to be hurt. I'm dipping. And then you don't see them again. And you're just like, what the heck? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is it dragged out for so long? Gon shows up and Gon watches Pito heal Kamagi, give her an hour time, and sit there for like a legit 10 episodes just waiting for this to happen. And I'm like, okay, well, this fight, this payoff here, because they keep building it up. So like this payoff between Gon versus P2 must be off the charts here. And then you finally get to that fight scene, and you're like, it's a smash. It's a one-handed snobber lock. And like, it's not a snobber locker, it's just a squash match. Gon destroys P2 like it's no big deal, and it was like, I waited so long for that. Or Netero versus Netero, which lasts, I think, like 2-3 episodes between the fights and the actual fight scene of it. And with the fight scene, the animation is beautiful, really done really, really well. But the time frame that we get to them actually fighting, it's like, man. And put in perspective here, like the last 6 episodes of the arc was where the main fights actually happened. Like Gon versus P2, Meryl versus Isaac Netero, like Netero, not Netero, but Netero. That's where the main stuff happens. That's where the most of it just happened. Between that, you have, the octopus guy looking for Palm, and you have Killua who's watching Gon, who Gon's like, gotta go, so Killua's just like, I'm gonna help out where I can. Then you have Yuppie versus Shoots and Knuckles, and which I'm glad to actually give Yuppie like his spotlight, because he was the one guy from the Royal Knights, the Royal Guard, that you didn't really attach to, because you didn't really, he didn't really talk that much. And then throughout the fight, you get to see his mindset, which the narration, I will say, does do a good job in this aspect. And there is a lot of narration for this second half, so it seems like you're not watching the events play out in full, like in real time, but almost getting like read to as a story. So like the narrator come in and let you know what's going on in Killua's mind, or let you know what's going on in Yuppie's mind, or let you know what's going on in Poof's mind, or pretty much explain the situation. One of the coolest scenes to me when the narration came in was when Killua's grandpa and Netero was doing the dragon skydive attack, and Pito's looking at them coming down, and she's like excited. She's getting excited. She's puffing up, and the narrator's explaining everything as it happens. And when you see the daggers come down from the sky, and Pito like jumps up at Netero, and Netero like does his ancient Buddha technique or ancient statue technique, and like smack the crap out of her. You're like, yo, this works here. But then you get it for, as one of my favorite YouTubers, Totally Not Mark, explains, for the elevator. You get narration for how an elevator works, and you get narrations for just the littlest details, which it works off and on. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts when it came to narration, and favorite parts of the whole second half of the season, to be honest, when you get that anticipation, like, oh my gosh, we're about to have a fight, we're about to have the climax, let's get to it, let's go. And then you find out, you know, for another 15 episodes later that the payoff doesn't really happen until then. And I felt like it took 15, 20 episodes. It was like only 36, and I felt after the first 5 episodes, Kamagi and Morel getting their, you know, that setup and showing the humanity of Morel, and also the fight between, you know, Netero and Morel, which shows that even humans can have a dark side, because Netero was like, yeah, this kind of makes it complicated. You're taking care of a human, but at the same time, at the end of the day, my job is to make sure we exterminate all ants, and since you're the king, you gotta go. And he was like, any means necessary. Like, he was going to the point where, like, his humility and his humanity was escaping him for him to do the job that needed to be done. He pretty much blew himself up in the end of his fight because he wanted to make sure he got the job done. And one of the coolest things I do want to say when it came to Netero was that in his fight with Morel, he pointed out that, like, why I'm not waiting for him to attack me? Like, when did I stop doing that? And he comes to the conclusion that, like, everybody he faced didn't hold a candle to him. So the one guy he was facing off with, who was actually stronger than him or on his level, he was like, I don't want to leave anything to chance. I'm finishing this. Which I do like that aspect of, like, characters you don't see in anime or mangas where they be like, yeah, so I know you're weaker than me. I'm going to give you the first punch. You get one move, you're not going to hurt me. Versus, you know what, I'm finishing off right now. Aaron's the only other one in Attack on Titan where, like, he saw the guy transforming. He was like, not on my watch, and took a swing first. So I do like that. And the second half of the Chimera Ant arc, it has some ups and downs. It has some nice spots. And also just the pacing of it, to me, though, just really drags out. And for me they introduce characters that I don't care about. I don't care about the king behind the king behind the scenes. I don't care about the wolf guy. You introduce them to me, just they didn't really, to me, have a big impact into certain spots they need to be. Like, the wolf didn't come into play until the very end, but it wasn't like we were rooting for the guy. We almost didn't care about him. And I know he was an introduction to show that, you know, the ants have a human side to him, but dude, I was like, why is he here? Why is he here? Why are these characters popping up? And maybe they're gonna bring those characters back, so you introduce them now so they play off in the end. But at this point, I'm like, okay, sure. Animation is great. It is phenomenal. Like, the drawing and the artwork and the styling of it, the fight scenes, the designing of it, the character design, whew, it's great. The look in Gon's eye when Gon's sitting there watching Neferpito, I don't just call her Pito, but Neferpito, sit there and watch Neferpito work on Kamagi, and he's staring her daggers into her eyes. I love it, love it. And just the animation, and since I'm talking about animation, talking about Gon and what he was doing when he was watching Pito, let's talk about characters. Let's go ahead and jump into it here. Alright. So let's kick it off with Gon. So Gon, in this second half of this season, his demeanor goes from more of a happy, cheery character who's like, you know what, no matter what's gonna happen, it's gonna be alright, to a, I don't care if I lose myself in the situation. I have revenge in my mind. You need to revive back my friend. Anybody else who gets in the way of my mission, me getting Pito to do what she needs to do, will die. Like, Gon's, his whole demeanor has switched. He went from being a character who was joyous to a character who was like, I will get this done no matter what. You would do what you need to do no matter what. I will sit here until you get the job done. If you don't do this, that girl will die, and I'm going to kill you. Like, Gon was on a whole nother level. Like, it was threatening. He never really, like, his voice never really peaked until, you know, the fight scene. But majority of the season, especially when he's watching Pito heal Kamagi, and he goes, No. You got 1 hour. 3 or 4 hours, not gonna cut it. You got 1 hour to revive her. Poof, if you move, I will injure her. Don't you dare move. And Poof breaks his, cause Poof doesn't care about Kamagi. So when he breaks his vow to not move, and he says, I'll be outside in 10 minutes, Gon tells Pito, you got 10 minutes. Get it done. And when Kamagi comes back to life and Kamagi actually like comments on something, Gon's like, if you speak out of line again, I will kill you. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, this cheery character went from very cheery to get behind to, I don't agree with the way you're acting here. Your beef is not with Kamagi. Your beef with P2, and yet you're about to take it out on Kamagi. Okay. And then when he goes all out against Pito, like he releases everything and goes all out, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is happening here. Like, Gon doesn't care. He lost it. He is snapped. And it's some powerful stuff for Gon's character. Like the writing behind Gon and his switch from like this positive-go-lucky, happy-go-lucky, we're gonna get the job done, believe in yourself character to, I gotta do what I gotta do, don't get in my way, dark side, Star Wars is like, whoo, ooh, Nelly. Okay, I'm behind it. I think it was kind of cool. And I think Gon was written really well in the second half of the season, and that flip that you've seen. And Gon always been a serious character, so it wasn't something that came out of nowhere. It was just like, we haven't seen him be this serious until now. And when you think it's gonna be like, back and forth slobber knocker Dragon Ball Z style fight, tournament arc Yusuke versus Toguro kind of fight between Gon and P2, it's not. It's literally a squash match where Gon just destroys her, and you're just like, okay, wow, sure, I guess we're going this route, but I kind of wish I wanted a little bit more from that fight. But other than that, like the character Gon, it made sense. It made pure sense. And the reason why Gon was doing it, he wanted P2 to revive Kite, and when P2 tells Gon that Kite's already been dead, I've just been using his body as a puppet, that's when he actually loses it. And he's like, he has the common knowledge, like, we can't fight here, I don't want to ruin the hideout, follow me out here. And P2 does, and I get the jump on him, and Gon's like, haha, not on my watch. Well, actually he kicks her, and then does the paper, rock, scissors, rock technique. Just, woo. Killua in this arc second half really has a lot of character development and growth. Like, he opens up, he doesn't hide stuff anymore. He still finds it hard to let people in and find it hard to get compliments, but he's more open about it. Like, him and Palm has a bond that grows. He sees what's going on with Gon, but he knows not to stop him because this is a path that Gon has to go down. But he's still loyal to the point where, like, Gon might push me away, but I'm going to be there for him no matter what. And Gon's not really pushing Killua away. He just like, I have a mission, Killua. You can't get in the way of this. And Killua's character, like him releasing and him going all out and then being all over the place, because he's with Gon and Pito, he's with Poof, he goes against Poof, he goes against Yuppie, he does a lot, and he goes against Palm, but also doesn't really have any like big major victories in this season, in the second half of the season. Like, he's doing everything, but he doesn't really like make the final blow, which is, it's kind of neat to do that for a character like Killua, who super powerful character as is, somebody who thinks he's invincible, to make him be like the one who doesn't really land the final blow in a lot of situations, use more brains to get out versus his get out situations versus his pure athletic and raw ability. Thought Killua's done good in this season. It's the fact to see him open up was kind of cool, which is something you don't see in the first season, and then this season he finally like really like lets it out. Netero, I kept calling him Netero earlier, but Netero, I enjoyed his character, thought he was cool. Like, I thought his backstory on how he got so strong, and then like to see him switch from somebody who's kind of like, I don't think he ever switched, he probably always had it been like that, like no matter what, the job has to be done. But to see that play out in the contrast of him and Meruem is pretty cool. Speaking of Meruem, he's next. Meruem in this arc, the more the story played out, the more I got attached to that character. I thought he was like this all-powerful, like conquering the world no matter what, and then you get the Beauty and the Beast contrast where you Kamagi to come in who kind of changes his viewpoint on life, and then he becomes more like a benevolent kind of king versus more like just cut to the chase. Even when Netero wanted to fight him, he was like, I just want to talk. I don't really want to fight. I'd rather talk, versus any other anime bad guy be like, okay, you want to come at me? Let's end this. He's like, no, let's just talk for a moment. Let's just talk it out. No need to fight. He's like, I already know I'm stronger. He's like, I'm stronger than you, but let's just talk it out first. And that had that mindset from a character who was like cut heart, cutlass, gonna cut somebody's head off no matter what, to let's talk it out real quick. Let's have a conversation, to see that change and metamorphosis. And then at the end where he's like, I don't really want by anything else. I just want to spend time with Kamagi and play this board game to the end. I thought that was kind of cool, and I kind of wish he stayed around. Like, he's a character, like, he could have been a good guy at the end of the whole storyline. Probably become a weak character, but he could have been a good guy at the end of it all. Nevi P2 in this arc, she has some cool fight scenes, some cool animation moments, but at the most part, she's been somebody who healing back, or getting out of healing Kamagi, protecting the palace, or like fight Gonba in that giant fight scene at the end. But it wasn't much of a fight scene. So like, for me, it was just like more build up for her, and see like, okay, she killed Kite, so you know we're gonna have this this Slobberknocker, this back and forth Yu Hakusho tournament arc kind of battle, and we don't get that battle between those two. And you're just like, okay, like trading blows, you don't get that. Poof, I couldn't stand Poof. He was the most annoying character to me. I could not do it. I couldn't do it. Poof irked the crap out of me. He irked me. Every little thing about him, his resentment, his annoying whining, his every little detail about Poof just bothered my soul on a whole nother level. And I think he was written like that on purpose. And then the voice animator and the voice actor and the English version just added to the way he reacts. And I'm just like, I can't stand Poof. It's his, and he doesn't really fight. He doesn't really fight at the end of it all. Like, I get he's not a fighter, but like at the end of all, he dies basically because of poison, and Meron dies versus poison too. But it was just like, why? You're annoying, and you're probably like one of like the strongest guys, and you're just weak sauce to me. Yuppie was another cool character that grew on me through the season. Like, the fact that he was somebody who didn't really have a much part in the first half, and then this how you get to see who his character is and his loyalty throughout his fight, and at the end of it all, he respects his opponents to be like, y'all did a good job, I'm not gonna kill y'all. And next time we meet though, let's have a fight. And it's like, man, like, I love his progression. It just, his fight scenes just took forever because they're going all over the place versus staying in one fight scene throughout the whole arc. They will hop between different stories within the same period. So therefore, like, Yuppie's growth, you got it throughout multiple episodes, but it was just like, it dragged out to me. Knuckle was a cool character. He was the same character he was in the first half, and I like the monologue and the narration for Knuckles' backstory, the narration for Knuckles' mentality. The narrator would pretty much narrate what Knuckles was feeling, what he was going through. Thought he did a good job. Shoot was also cool. His story and him coming out of his shell, which happened like 2 episodes, which is great. There you go, right there. And the narrator explaining that, thought it was good as well. Nove. So I didn't talk about when Nove infiltrate the palace, and he does a good job of revealing like how powerful the bad guys are. So like, you watch WWE, the guy who goes against Brock Lesnar and gets squashed, that's what that kind of character is for. He was there to reveal that, like, oh, we're dealing with somebody who is not a joke. And when he comes across Poof's Nin, he pretty much gets freaked out and like just has a mental breakdown, takes himself out of the situation. Palm, another one. Palm, when she was there, and it actually become a vital part in this season, in the second half here. But when she experiences Pito's Nin, she like, I gotta do it, I gotta end myself, and then gets turned into like the #1 ant soldier, and end up becoming a very vital part in helping Killua break down, cut loose, and helping Meruem meet Kamagi at the end of it all, and pretty much just shows like, okay, I'm actually a vital part of the team here, and she has moments. She's a cool character. See here. Melioron, he is the chameleon guy who wants revenge, and he wants revenge against the king because he's like one of the first guys to have the first ants to have the humanity come back and the human past memories come back. And he was cool. He was vital to some of the fight scenes. Ilkago is the octopus character that thinks he's a squid, that becomes friends with Killua and the gang, and he's actually a vital part with helping finding Palm, and his mentality and his tactics and thinking through stuff, strategizing, helps kind of rescue everybody and helps get the gang out of certain troubles. He's fine. It's just like I didn't really care for him as much. One character I do want to talk about is Cheetu and Morel. First, let's talk about Morel. So Morel grew on me. I didn't think I was going to find myself enjoying him when I first saw him. I thought I was going to find like Nov and Netero, the two characters that are attached to when you first see him. But Morel had more spotlight. Him fighting Cheetu the first time with Knuckles, and him fighting Cheetu again, then him fighting Leorio, and I feel like that's his name, the tiger guy, the tiger lion dude. But when Morel was there and he fought Poof, like he actually has some pretty cool fight scenes, and most of the fights in this arc, I believe in the second half, dealt with a lot of Morel's ability, like him using the smoke and him using the soldiers. Pretty much he was all around. Like you didn't really get Gon that much fighting, you didn't really get Killua that much fighting. You got to really see Morel fight a lot in this arc, and you got behind him as a character because you get to see what he goes through. And I thought he was cool. He grew on me a lot. And Zeno Zodak, he is Killua's grandpa, and he shows up for a moment, and you're just like, okay. And you thought he was gonna be somebody, a hot shot, and he's not. And I felt kind of down about that. And he was cool. And then Cheetu actually became one of my favorite ants in this arc. And I thought Cheetu was gonna have like this big, climactic battle against somebody at the end, and he gets killed by Killua's dad, just taken out. He had fights with Morel, fights with Knuckles. He's been all over the place, and you think like, this dude just doesn't go away. Man, how they gonna beat this guy? Like, he's one of the fastest men alive on this planet. How they gonna do it? And Killua's dad just like kills him with one blow, and you're just like, they've been building this guy up for him to go out like that. And I feel like a lot of this second half of the arc had these giant build-ups for them to end anticlimactically. That's just my opinion. Anybody else I really want to talk about here? Wolfen is the wolf guy I talked about. I feel like he gets brought in to be like to become the king behind the scenes as well for the Chimera Ants. And for the most part, I was like, I just don't care about this character. I feel like we're dragging this on with him appearing, and he's only there for one moment to really reveal to Meruem who Kamagi is. And Kamagi, the one character who I can't miss, and I'm not sure I even talked about her yet, but Kamagi is the main star of the second half. She is the puzzle to the second half. Without Kamagi, the second half of this anime, second half of this arc would not work. It would not work at all. She is a vital piece to it all. And who is Kamagi? Kamagi is a world-renowned Gunji player, and she is dumb than a box of rocks. She is dumber than a box of rocks. But when she plays Gonji, she is like one of the brightest people in the world. She's blind, but when she plays it, I think she uses Nin or some kind of aura to know what to move and how to play it. But when she plays, her world lights up, and she can never find a challenger who could beat her. And the one person she come against is Morel, who actually challenges her a little bit and makes her think harder, and he's also getting challenged. So they have a game, a fight between each other in this board game, and her goofiness, her reaction to what's going on, not understanding what's happening, like all that plays into a very adorable character. I love Kamagi as a character, thought she was great, and she comes serious for this board game, and because of her seriousness, Morel was there to play off of it. And then because of the fact they played the board game so much, it takes effect in the fight between Morel and Netero. He fights Netero like the board game. He thinks of the way the moves are going to happen. He's like, all right, Netero has 1,000 different moves, 1,000 different choices, but eventually one of them's not going to play out, and I just got to be able to attack right when it happens. And I like that. And normally you don't get to see that from the villain's side, where the villain is the one who, based off of the lessons he had prior to the main fight, where he using those lessons to help him out. And I like how Morel does that, which to me made Morel seem more like a good guy, because like, oh, he's using what he learned through the fights. Gon didn't do that in his fight against P2, but Killua did some of that. But Morel using it, freaking love it. And I love those little touches of details like that. I think that's all the characters I really want to talk about. Everybody else is kind of like just there, but Kamagi is definitely a heavy hitter for this anime for the second half. Without her, there's not much that changes. Like, you need her to, because she is the piece that nobody can plan for. She's the reason why Morel removes his arms so the gang can get closer to the palace. She's the reason why Morel decided to protect her and changes his mindset on life. She is the reason for everything that happens that plays out differently. If it wasn't from her, this whole arc could be completely different. So, right on to that. Right on to that. Any other thoughts? Besides the pacing is something to me that's just like really bothers me, and the fact that anticipation mounts up and up and up for it to have the climactic fights not be so climactic, or they're like 1 or 2 episode fights for like 30 episodes that I sit and watch through, 36 episodes that I sit and watch through. You're just like, all that for this? But other than that, like, the storyline is solid. I like the storyline here. I like how, I wish Poof didn't die versus poison, but like Morel dies with poison, UB dies with poison because they showed they couldn't be beaten by normal people. Heck, Netero had to blow himself up to even make the poison happen. So I thought it was kind of neat there. And just the pacing of it all just really drove me, like, it really drove me away. Like, I almost wanted to stop watching, but I knew the fight between, when it all happened, like, we might get this giant climactic fight, like Avatar Last Airbender, where Aang versus, you know, Fire Lord Ozai. You don't get that, but it's cool. It's cool. Is this a season you should watch? Overall, yes. I think this is a season you definitely should overall watch this. Grading time, I'm going to grade Hunter x Hunter Season 5 Part 2 a B. It gets a B for me. Animation is great. Storyline is solid. The way it plays out is great. It just, the pacing of it just is so long for no reason. The 36 episodes that we got on the back half of it, because this is 61 episode. This is a 61 episode arc altogether. And I felt like the whole, cause they're at one spot for the majority of the time, and you keep bringing in these other characters and introducing, like, the octopus guy, or the lobster. Like, why do I care that he's there? And at the end of it all, you play on him like he's a big deal, and you're like, okay, sure. And you get to see the human side of the ants come back, but it's just really dragged out. And I think you could have shortened it by 10 episodes and be fine. 36 was unnecessary for the second half. It could have been 25, 26 on top of the first 30 or first 25 episodes, and you would have been fine. Like 50 episodes would have been better than 61. That's just my opinion. But, and I get that Togashi was actually going through illness at this time, so you know, you want to drag it out a little bit longer so that he can get better. But yeah, it is what it is. If you guys seen Hunter x Hunter Season 2 Part 5, the second half of the Chimera arc, what do you think? I'm giving it a B. That's my opinion because I think everything else was played. The payoff was solid. Just the pacing of it was just But other than that, a B for me. If you guys seen Hunter x Hunter Season 2 or Season 5 Part 2, what do you think? Please put in the comments below. Other than that, see you guys on the next episode when we break down series review. And keep being awesome. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, you want to see what else I'm doing in my normal life and other things that's going on, please follow me on Instagram at Ali_Zakka. I'll put it right here around my face. Yep, right there. Also, if you want more episode of movie breakdowns or grind towards success or whatever it is I'm doing on YouTube, you know what? Follow my page right here, like I said before, the little comment thing right there, And then you can watch the last episode of movie breakdowns right here, and watch the last episode of Grind Towards Success right there. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all. See y'all next time. Keep being awesome.